King Herod got it into his head to go after some of the church members. He murdered James, John's brother. When he saw how much it raised the popularity ratings with the Jews, he arrested Peter. All this during Passover week, and had him thrown in jail, putting 4 squads of 4 soldiers, each to guard him. He was planning a public lynching after Passover. All that time Peter was under heavy guard in the jailhouse. The church still prayed for him strenuously. Then the time came for Herod to bring him out for the kill. That night, even though shackled to 2 soldiers, one on either side, Peter slept like a baby, and there were guards at the door keeping their eyes on the place. Herod was taking no chances. Suddenly there was an angel at his side, and the light flooded in the room. The angel shook Peter and got him up. "Hurry!" The handcuffs fell off his wrists. The angel said, "Get dressed and put on your shoes." Peter did it. "Then grab your coat and let's get out of here." Peter followed him, but he didn't believe it was really an angel. He thought he was dreaming. Past the first guard, and then the second, they came to the iron gate that led into the city. It swung open before them on its own, and they were out on the street free as the breeze, and the angel left him going his own way. That's when Peter realised it was no dream. "I can't believe it, this really happened. The Master sent his angel and rescued me from Herod's vicious little production and the spectacle the Jewish mob was looking forward to." Shaking his head amazed, he went to Mary's house. The Mary who was John Mark's mother. The house was packed with praying friends. When he knocked on the door to the courtyard, a young woman named Rhoda came to see who it was. But when she recognised Peter's voice, she was so excited and eager to tell the others, she forgot to open the door and left him standing in the street. They wouldn't believe her, dismissing her and dismissing her report. "You're crazy," they said. She stuck by her story, insisting. They still wouldn't believe her and said, "It must be his angel." All this time, poor Peter was standing out in the street knocking. Finally, they opened up and saw him and went wild. Peter put up his hands and calmed them down. He described how the Master had gotten him out of jail, then said, "Tell James and the brothers what's happened," and he left them and went off to another place. These events were meant to have taken place between 33 AD and 34 AD. It is the time that the church was just beginning, and Herod was wanting to take control and persecute the church and stop them from uprising. This can impact on interpretation in the passage, because at the start of the passage we see how Herod is in control and is very much has taken the start of the church and imprisoned them, but at the end that we see that actually God wins and the church continues to grow. This passage fits into the Bible as a whole, because in John 15:18-20, Jesus predicted that people were going to be persecuted just as they persecuted him, and we see this coming true when James is beheaded, and even though he's killed, he's then taken into eternal life with God. This passage also fits into the books of Acts, as the next few chapters are filled with Peter's first missions, and if Peter had not been rescued, then we wouldn't have the rest of Acts and the stories about how he goes out and spreads the good news. All this was taking place during the Jewish festival of the Passover. People like Herod were very much wanting to be in control when religious festivals like this were happening, so that they didn't have an uprising, and which is why he was making an example of killing James and imprisoning Peter. This passage is a historical narrative. My first implication from this passage was as Christians today is that as Peter was freed from prison, we are free to meet as a church and continue as a church. If Peter had not been freed, then the church would have continued to be much more persecuted and would have had a lot more control over us, what we can do and what we can't do. And my second implication for this passage for us as Christians today is we see that prayer and speaking to God about things that we might think are impossible are actually amazing, and that if we do this, then miracles can happen. The humour that I found in this passage was that at the start of the passage, Herod seemed to be in control and in control of God's people, but towards the end of it, Herod had no control, as one of his prisoners walked completely and utterly freely out of his prison without being caught, therefore allowing the church to continue to grow.
Created using Powtoon.